Welcome back everyone to our 7th acquisition video of the year, covering everything picked up in July 2022. There's quite a bit this time around, so let's get right into it. As always, we're starting with items sent in by viewers, beginning with this amazing British Opposing Force blue DPM combat shirt. This pattern is essentially a recolorized version of their older design, used for special training operations. Other common garments made in this pattern are trousers and parkas, but even still it's quite something of a tough pattern to acquire. Next up are these two helmets, both of which were picked up at the July Brimfield show in Massachusetts. The one on the left is a British Mark IV Brodie helmet which sports a non-British Desert DPM cover. One of the two possibilities with this helmet is that it's either just one someone threw a cover on and it's not supposed to be there, or second is that it made its way to another country which utilized the pattern and then added the cover. The camouflage itself isn't British Desert DPM, but looks very similar to ones used by Middle Eastern countries such as Kuwait or the UAE, among others. The other helmet is actually a World War II era Japanese Type 90 helmet. Now, looking at it initially, you'll notice the lack of the iconic metal star on the front, plus the chin strap and liner, and maybe think it's a modified or repaired piece, but it's a little more interesting. It's actually a civil defense version of the helmet used by citizens of Japan during the war. They sometimes had painted symbols on them or were military issue with the star removed, leaving a small hole, but a number of them were issued, as you see right here. Okay, up next we have a nice pair of red camouflage patterns, which usually have people scratching their heads. However, both of these are actually used by firefighters. The one on the left hails from Malaysia, that boasts a very bright and unique design, while the one on the right comes from Ghana and appears to be influenced by France's older CCE pattern. Both include identifiers, with the Malaysia one coming in the form of a shoulder insignia, and the Ghana one with embroidered GNFS, which stands for Ghana National Fire Service. Still within Africa are two more patterns from the Ivory Coast and Djibouti. The green splinter type pattern, made by the French company Mark, is the standard issue pattern of the country's army. It's one in a series of variations utilizing different colors worn by various forces of the nation. The second is a rather interesting one. If anyone follows us on Instagram, we recently posted a close-up of this design asking if anyone could identify it. Some were close, but no one actually guessed it correctly. It's one of the numerous patterns worn by the Djibouti Republican Guard, Garde Républicaine in French, which explains the lettering. The design appears to be heavily influenced by China's older Type 07 Arid. This does make sense as the country has close ties to China and is home to one of the few foreign military bases the Chinese maintain. Hopping up to Europe are these two pieces out of neighboring Poland and Germany. The Polish pattern is yet another version of the Moro family. This one, due to its larger overall size, appears to be the version worn by members of the fire service. So another firefighter pattern. The second is a West German Border Guard splinter parka. This pattern has steadily gone up in price over the last few years, and this one was picked up because of the overall condition and the fact that the original liner was still intact, which isn't often seen with them. It's a shame though that the shoulder insignia was removed, as is often the case with these. Moving all the way south to South America is this very small-sized but still very interesting take on tiger stripe, which comes out of Guyana. A number of these were thrown up on eBay and were quickly snatched up. This was one of them. The uniform takes one of the older versions of the design and recolors it, giving it a more uniquely lighter tone, no doubt for better concealment in the more lush forests of the country. And speaking of lighter patterns, here we have another interesting one coming out of Iran. It's one of the digital patterns of the country's Marine Corps. The colors are almost painful to look at, so it's hard to say how effective it actually is while in use, though it may be effective in water-based operations. Now, the last time an Iranian pattern was highlighted in one of these videos, a number of quality control issues were seen with it, and this one too seems to have them as well. Aside from the poor stitching in areas and strange pockets on the pants, this set also features 3 other patterns that were used to make up the jacket's pocket flaps and inside button flaps. They are Woodland, a copy of the US Marine Corps Desert Marpat, and a digital pattern that appears to be worn by either Air Defense Forces or the Iranian Revolutionary Guard's volunteer paramilitary Bajij Force. As said before, the quality of the few Iranian garments that are floating around seem to vary from piece to piece, but are usually not that great, which begs the question as to whether they are legitimate or the overall state of their uniforms are this shoddy. Based on the info so far, it seems to be leaning towards the latter, but the verdict is still out. And finally, to wrap up this month is this very, very strange yet extremely unique African pattern, and I mean African. This uniform is quite extensive as far as the features go, but the immediate attention goes to the pattern itself, which sees the continent of Africa in 2 different colors, sizes, and orientations, while also incorporating leopard rosettes within them. The camouflage appears to be influenced or directly based upon the one supposedly created by Muammar Gadhafi, Libya's former ruler, who allegedly created a series of these patterns to be used by forces of a proposed United States of Africa he had often pushed for. This particular pattern and uniform cut is something of a mystery though, as it seems to be made in China, though includes a tag with a company and website, both of which don't seem to pop up in searches. It was also said to be related to Burkina Faso, though no images or media depicting its use appear either. A bit more research is needed for this one, but regardless, it's a very interesting piece. But that will pretty much do it for July's pickups. We'll be back next month to take a look at everything that came our way for August 2022. Until next time, everyone.